There we go. All right, welcome to the Without Your Head doubleheader. It's our first one ever, and we just watched The Truth Will Out, and I'm joined by writer and director Sam Mason Bell. It's very cool to have you here.
Good to hear. Yes.
Yeah, from Trash Arts. First of all, where did that name come from, Trash Arts?
Um, I was like back in 2007, and I remember we were trying to come up like a film company name. I pictured like a Mona Lisa in a trash can.
That would be a good logo.
Yeah, it sounds more pretentious when you actually picture it, though, than just something in your head. So it's like, maybe just keep the words.
Yeah. So where did the idea for The Truth Will Out? When did that come about? When did you start creating this?
Well, me and Jess did Lonely Hearts in 2017, and afterwards we were trying to work out like what would be the next kind of docu horror that we would do. So I know Jess was interested in doing something more to do with witchcraft, and she wanted to look into like the backgrounds of different kind of reasonings for the characters. So they were just a bit more fully rounded within the folklore of witchcraft. Whereas I was kind of like more interested in the what's happening in the Me Too movement and try and create a character that had some of those sort of those moral questions and the ethics behind like being a powerful person on TV and taking advantage of the vulnerable, and then kind of adding the supernatural twist of something that you think that he can take control, but like they got their supernatural power. They get their revenge, as it were.
Yeah. So, what interests you about filming like in the style, the documentary style?
I really like the idea of behind the scenes, and because you see certain, especially with documentaries and stuff, you see like everything being covered, but you're still not seeing the crew's intentions, and there's always questionable intentions behind why people want to film. If it's like reality TV or like docu-TV, there's always that morality question. And I quite like playing on morality, and you can do that quite easily with like docu horror. And also, we've done a lot of mockumentary stuff with a comedy show that we did like what was it still doing. So I've always liked just that sort of style. Plus, a lot of our work's improvised, so we have like a bullet point of what we're going to run through. But as it's improvised, having it being related to stay continuously in character and keeping it a documentary style, it helps get the narrative flowing a bit easier.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because it does feel like, which actually adds to the movie because then it does feel like it actually is, being documented. That it does have a feel like it's not completely scripted, like they're making things up as they go along, or not, totally making it up, but
Yeah.
So how much of it was like scripted? I assume like you have the story out there, but how much of like the actual dialogue scripted?
I think the only real dialogue that was scripted is we had the question. So in the sections where we're asking questions and stuff, there was some sort of questions in mind. But the only stuff that was probably scripted was the spells. So Jess wrote all the spells looking into certain like bits of pagan witchcraft and different elements like that, and just found the right sort of spells. I think she like just changed the wording a little bit so it wasn't too much on the nose from the real spells. Whereas everything else is pretty much just improvised.
Yeah. As a director on something that's being improvised a lot, what's like your role there? Do you hear stuff that you like and then maybe ask them to do it again in a different way, or how much are you actually directing when they're doing that?
It's a funny thing with it because like most of the films that we've done improvisation we've written ourselves and we intend to edit. So we have in mind like the flow of the story. So I personally try to spend quite a bit of time with the actors. They fully get the character and understand why they're doing each reasoning. But when doing the scene, as long as they've got the A to B there, you go, right, so you're going to start at this point, something's going to happen in the middle, and I want to make sure that your end point is this. Again, you rehearsal with them, they show what they're going to do, and then after that, you just sort of, you give them a bit of direction. But it is sort of giving a bit of free fall, and luckily the actors we work with, they're quite familiar with improv, because a lot of things recently we've been doing is quite improv-based.
Do you work with a lot of the same actors on your other projects?
We do, yeah. Like a lot of our actors are good friends of ours, so we try to develop projects for them that are very different to what they've already done with us. So it doesn't feel like they're just working with us every single time. It's like, oh, we're just doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah. They're actually getting to explore different kind of characters.
You mentioned you do have some comedy stuff too. So like, what genres interest you as a filmmaker?
I don't know, like I obviously love doing a lot of horror kind of stuff. I was really interested in like dark dramas originally, like Michael Haneke sort of things, but then I realized very quickly that the kind of audience is a little bit limiting of what I could do with it. I just thought, well, if I could just get really strong characters and then like put them into horror scenarios and comedy, like generally speaking, I quite like dark comedy or comedy. Personally, I really like seeing a downward spiral and
Uh-huh.
just exploring how that downward spiral is going to happen. If it's going to be either comical, or if it's going to be the character's nature, or what's around them. It's just interesting to see where you can take
Yeah.
it.
It's a very telling that you like to see that you find comedy in people downward spiral and destruction of themselves. It's very funny to you, but I understand what you're saying. Jessica Hunt, who you wrote and directed this with, and she's in. I've seen that you've worked with her a lot on other films. Uh, how did that come about, and how is co-writing with someone? Like, do you butt heads, or is it just like a seamless thing?
I started working with Jess, I think it was like the beginning of 2017. So she acted in a short film for me called The End of the Decade.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, she'd done some acting for a film that I was crewing. And we just got to get to know each other a bit more, talk about the kind of films that we'd want to do. And she just sort of dived into the deep end by coming on to Lonely Hearts. We were shooting that in August 2017. So it was only a couple of months of doing a couple of short films. But she really wanted to just go for it. And because we had a basis of what kind of story we wanted to go, and she's kind of like, she's very happy for me to like just put the kind of just the bones together, and then we'll just throw in details the aspects that she's more interested in. We might even, so for Lonely Hearts, we sort of explored that she directed three of the actors, and I focused on two of the other actors. So I could focus on like making sure that the docu-drama elements worked and that she had their dynamic perfect. So it's never a question of like buying heads on ideas, because to me it makes more sense to like, it's one of those things that with improv you have to listen to make it work. You can't just be running with what I'm going to do forward. You have to listen to see how it's going to work. And I find it similar when you're co-directing, and because we do a lot of production, I do a lot of co-directing with a lot of different people. And it just, there's a reason why you want to work with that person. It's not just about you doing everything you want it and then being like a backup.
Mm-hmm. So, how about the cast? Because you said you worked with a lot of the people before, but I know Kevin Cordell is like the main guy in the movie. Had you worked with him a lot before?
Yeah, he's on our comedy show, The Making of. So in fact, he plays like a theatre director, and The Making of is a mockumentary about following deluded filmmakers and trying to succeed. And one of the characters they know is this character played by Kev. And Kev is a very over-the-top, big personality, very much like a theatre lovey, very proud of his theatre background, and he really got to bring that across with Thomas LaBosse by making a little bit more of a bigger personality for that nastiness underneath. And yeah, it's joy working with Kev.
Yeah. And you said Jess was interested in doing a witchcraft story for this one. Is that something that she's interested in? Like even outside of the movies?
Maybe that's something she's interested in at that moment. I know that Jess is a spiritual person. Probably up to her to decide like how much she would express as a spiritual person. In other words, I don't know how spiritual she is, but I know
Right.
definitely a spiritual person.
Yeah. Was that something that you did any research into, where it was like modern witchcraft?
Well, I know that she did because she was
She
looking
did, yeah.
for. I can't remember the culture, but it may have been Romanian, and what was it? Anyway, she was looking at a particular witch who was, as a local profession, doing like curses and stuff to make a bit of cash. And that's what kind of gave her the inspiration behind Susie Jones' character, Diane. So she definitely put all that detail in the research. I was more about like structuring the nastiness with the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun, and as you saw, like on screen, it works in that sort of dynamic. So it really helped in that way, where because I was the cameraman, I could just make sure that we were directed how we were supposed to be. And
Yeah.
she could focus in more on the witches, so she spent time with Vicky and Taylor just getting characters right and stuff.
Now, have you seen The Truth Well Out with an audience besides tonight on the in the watch party?
Yeah, I saw Horror on Sea January 2020, and it was really cool because we play around with the moral line. people always don't know what characters they're supposed to like, and if they were like ability factor, and everyone was deceptive. And there was a good discussion with people afterwards. And there was a point, I think it was like a couple of hours after the festival, we were all quite drunk. And so people just randomly came up to us and they were asking about Thomas the Boss here, and I was like, I don't remember the character's name. So it's had a pretty cool response.
Yeah. Now, well, obviously we can't do the actual physical festivals right now, but what's that experience like? Not only seeing your stuff with an audience, but for me, going to the festivals, a big part of it is meeting the other filmmakers and moviegoers. And do you ever then collaborate with other people that you met through festivals to work on other projects?
Definitely. Like recently, with Horror and in particular, we met Tom Lee Rutter, who runs Carney Films, that just released Day of the Stranger. And we met him at like 2019. Just got to know a bit. He came down and did some acting for my film Fine, which is my comedy show right here, right now. And then we saw him again this year's Horror, so he met more of his crew, he met more of our crew down here. So it was really cool. We just started thinking of different ideas. And because of the very nature of like, especially Horror being very much for horror fans, as you probably know with like Film Fest out in America, people are already in love with the genre when they're there.
Yeah.
They want to talk about it. They want to see how you've explored it. You want to see how they've explored it as a filmmaker. No, I love it, and yeah, can't wait to continue.
Yeah. I always tell, because I've been to a few of them around the country, and like the first one I went to was in Boston, and I know what I like about it is it has a built-in community. And then when I would go to the one in Buffalo, it's the same way, and I went to one in Texas the same way. So I think anybody out there who, when you can actually go to festivals again, you probably have your own little horror community or independent film community in your area. Go out there and find it.
Yeah, no, totally. I always try to, like, especially when with actors, I always say go to a film festival. If you want to get that sort of feeling of the response, go to a film festival.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to them happening. And speaking of that, though, what are you like doing right now during the pandemic? Are you working on anything, like editing wise, I guess?
Yeah, we're writing a lot. I mean, there's a lot of, because we tried to get a lot of productions going, there's a lot of different things at different editing points that we spent a couple of days on, but because we want to write new stuff and we can't continue the productions that we were hoping to do this year, we've been trying to work out what creative ideas can we do that work within the limitations of whatever the government's telling us is safe outside. So we're like rewriting films, and we've got some stuff we want to plan to shoot in the summer, but we're just going to see how it goes. Otherwise, there is just hundreds of scripts sitting around that will, when you just start writing because you're enthusiastic, and then the next day it's like, well, that was a new idea. So it's running around with a lot of new ideas and just seeing if there's any anthology ideas we can do. It sounds kind of silly, but I like the idea of trying to create stuff that can entertain people directly in a situation right now. So it's making isolation anthology films where everyone can still get involved. Or we do poetry and music events once a month, which we now have to do online. It brings in a whole different kind of visual art to it. And it's just trying to get people to not think about what's going on again.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we started these. Did the film festival, Severed Films, last month, and it was a bigger success than I expected it to be, and so we decided to do more of them. But I think it's good for everyone. It gives a creative outlet for people, to keep creating things, and also, like you said, it gets people's minds off what's going on, and you can watch some stuff and with other people too, especially online. Since you can't go to the festivals, it's good to, it's fun to watch stuff on your own, but there is something about watching something with other people.
You notice that you just see the whole stream of, like, as people are watching things, of how they're actually feeling about it and connecting, looking forward to seeing each other's films. It is like being at a festival, weirdly.
Yeah, and it's actually, in a way, I don't think anything would, take the place of an actual festival like that the best, but it is cool because you're watching stuff with people that you probably wouldn't watch with otherwise, because they're like in other parts of I was just saying country, but other parts of the world.
Yeah, that's true.
So I know you're a pretty prolific filmmaker. You have a lot of stuff made over the years.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm poor. I have no I don't.
Sorry to laugh at that. Yeah.
Financing.
Right.
I just want to make films.
Yeah.
I kind of work within the limitations I have and work with people who have the same sort of dedication and love. So, to me, my only job is to try and do this, and because we're trying to run a business in respect to I have to keep trying to make stuff so we can get different positions and try and get the other people who are in proper jobs out of the jobs by creating constantly. I don't know, it's just my mentality is just to keep creating. And also to try and create stuff that you want to create. And there are, of course, a lot of limitations with having no budget. But then, I don't know, the right stories, people will work with it, and you can find the right sort of like locations or.
Yeah, I think that's important too, because a lot of people have ideas, and then they'll never. If you just keep waiting to have like $100,000, whatever, you'll probably just never ever make anything. So you know, as long as you just actually make something, and then maybe that will lead to something else. And even if it doesn't, you're making something and creating something, and people can see it, and you can make something else after that.
Which is it, a film career is not just about like the immediacy of right now. It's about how you feel, you know, like 20, 30 years in the future, where you're like, I've got a collection of films that I made that people remember and that I'm happy with, and it's something that I actually wanted to do with my life. It's meant to just like we have to do what is expected of our life as opposed to what we want to do in life. I think creativity always allows you to do what you want to do.
You mentioned the anthologies, and they've definitely. I mean, they were always big. Like I love Creepshow as a kid and stuff, but I think they've become more popular over the last couple of years, like the independent films, because I think for a few different reasons. But one thing, like, it's probably cheaper for each person to make their own short than make a feature, and then also gives it a platform for all these short films to be part of an anthology.
This is it. With Tony Newton with Vengeful Caterers, like that's how when he got in touch with me and said, "Oh, I'm doing all these anthologies," back with it was 60 Seconds to Die, the first one, about 5 years ago. And I was like, "That's great," because sometimes you do just want to shoot something to just be able to tighten up those skills. It's like a zombie anthology. It's like, great, I get to make a zombie film where I'm just doing something specifically for this. And I just want to make it a strong enough piece where I get to play around with those sort of tools, or this one I can play around with some editing thing that I want to do in the feature film, so I'll test out on this short film. So I find it a really good, like, I suppose like a creative playground to be able to just try different things out. And when we decided to start doing anthologies, it did just really connect with talking to more people in the indie scene. And you get some really cool films that like come your way, and you get to talk to other filmmakers and just see more of the indie scene beyond what's just around you. And that's one of the reasons why I do like doing anthologies. I know it's really easy to like oversaturate.
Sure.
So you can do too many, and then everybody else is doing it, and you're just like, okay, the quality's so shit here. And you still want the love because those filmmakers are still learning, and you're like, but when do we start having to think about the quality here as opposed to
Right.
But they're not high like threats, you know. They're going to get a release, and that's how I see the anthologies. That someone's going to be interested. There's an audience out there who likes to watch a collection of horror.
For me personally, like if I see an anthology or even like a short festival or something, it's cool because if one really stands out to you, then you go and like, hey, that was really cool. I'm gonna go seek this other person's stuff out and see what else they've done, and it really introduces you to their work.
Yeah, and you get like almost like a bite size of their style with each short film. Something you're gonna be like, oh yeah, that makes me remember that director in particular.
Which sometimes, like if all the anthologies are very different, sometimes it doesn't necessarily work together because they're so different. And sometimes that's cool in a way, and sometimes it makes it obviously that these were all things that were made separately and they just put them together just to have an anthology.
Yeah, that's it's sometimes hard to like. You want it to always be an original creation for that anthology idea, but then sometimes people just won't do that, and you're just like, wow, but you've got to fill the time, I guess, and you know, it's not exactly how you want it to. You want it to be original time, but we don't have a budget to offer them. So I can understand why people are like,
sure. So for The Truth Will Out, where did you film this? I assume it's a lot of like your own place.
Yeah, we literally shot it completely in the place I'm in right now, which is our flat. And the guy who played the sound man, Jackson Batchelor, who's part of Trash Arts, he is also my landlord. So he lives
Okay, that's pretty cool.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
just really nice and convenient. And he said to Jess, like, you can redesign the flat how you wish. So we completely changed how it usually looks. You know, we were filming our flat as it is.
Hmm.
Wanted to make it look like it definitely had a very different vibe to it, or was at least close to it being a family home as opposed to three guys living in a house kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's good that your landlord is into the movies, so he lets you film there.
Yeah, I mean, luckily he is a co-partner of Trash Arts, and he's been
Yeah.
working for 10 years and has only been a landlord for 4 of those. So the love was there beforehand.
Yeah. For people, we've mentioned Trash Arts a few times. Where can you follow that online? I'm pretty sure if you put Trash Art, you'll probably find it.
Yeah, I think it's Trash Arts UK, and then on YouTube it's Trash Arts Portsmouth, because we're Portsmouth UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you have a lot of stuff on the YouTube page too. I've started to check some out. I'd like to check out more of it.
Yeah, we try. Like the thing is, like I started to realize more about non-exclusive markets. So if you've got a short film, it doesn't matter on YouTube. You just go to non-exclusive markets and just watch that. So when we had all these comedy shows, they're a lot of fun. And when we were doing them, you just got this collection of actors who, again, are all local to us, who just love their characters. And they're like, well, all right, we'll shoot this every month. Or, all right, we'll try and shoot 6 for the 6 months. And they just built the YouTube channel more and more and more. And I have silly, ridiculous aspirations to one day be close to the Trash Arts being a studio. That's where the end game is. So the YouTube channel to me is like a mini studio to go, this is what we can offer. This is what we like to do. These are the kind of different things. Mm-hmm. So it's slowly building. There's a lot of stuff on there, and hopefully, people get entertained by something.
Yeah. And your short that we had in the Severed Films Festival was Bleed for Me. Was that the name of it?
Bleed for Me, yeah.
That was great. It was really high production value, for an independent short film.
It was a lot of fun doing that. We did it for Robert Lipsey's anthology collection. I am not an addict.
Yeah.
And because it was all about addiction, I thought, okay, well, that addiction to abuse, masochistic urge. And it was weird because I shot it myself and I did the lighting, and I had my ex-girlfriend's flat. And because it was like real big empty kind of rooms, just light it however we want. It was like, it was 30 hours. It really didn't cost anything. It was literally just using each room in the house and just, darkening it or applying a certain color to it and just making it not feel like it was all just shot in the same place.
Yeah. Yeah, I really did that. And I'm glad that you were part of the first one, and you've had the feature film tonight in the doubleheader.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was very cool. I hope everyone dug it. We're actually filming this, recording this, before we actually are airing it here. But
I hope people enjoyed it. And we commented along.
Yeah. So it was good times. Well, I really appreciate you, being part of this and talking with me.
No worries, man. I'm happy to chat to you too. Because I've seen Without Your Head pop up so many times from Michael Epstein and other people, and I've been like, this is quite cool.
Well, thank you. I spam it everywhere. But honestly, if you do your own thing, like independent film or your own podcast or whatever, part of that is you have to get it out there, even if sometimes you feel like you're being annoying or something. But otherwise, it's cool to make stuff, but if no one knows it's out there, what are you doing?
Yeah, I completely agree.
And I see that a lot, though. I don't want to name names, but I know people who actually are really talented and make cool stuff, but they're not very good about being on social media or just getting the name out there. Then it kind of falls under the radar.
I think it is tricky because, like I said,
you also don't want to be annoying too and overdo it.
Yeah, you don't want to. You almost have to equate. Well, how many times can I sound this group? I don't want to do it daily, so maybe if I do it twice a week. And that's not be too annoying. Make sure there's something that's offering to the group and not just me bugging myself. It's mindset.
Yeah. Then it's another am I just putting this out in triplicate, the same exact thing on my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram, and do people need to read the same thing 3 or 4 times?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird balance. But yeah, this is cool, and we should do it again sometime. You podcast or something.
That'd be awesome.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Cool.